What's up, guys? It's Josh Clow, one of the co-hosts of the Cleaver Podcast. I'm here today on our third episode of our new series, What to Look Forward to in 2019 for the non-playoff teams as of right now. Today's episode, we're going to go on to the Miami Dolphins. Yes, Miami Dolphins are considered playoff contention as of right now with their record. But looking at the remaining of the schedule, I don't see them making the playoffs. This is why they're in the video today. But let's move on to what to look forward to for the Dolphins. Number one, they're fast players. They have many young and fast players on that team. Definitely on the offensive side of the football. Two big names that people probably have heard of before is Albert Wilson and Kenyon Drake. A lot of people have fantasy for Kenyon Drake, busting out the scenes last year after the Jay Ajayi trade and kind of just, blew up. Uh, this year is taking a downgrade because of Frank Gore, but his speed is definitely something to um, always be considered of. He does have a couple touchdowns this season. He's more into the receiving game this year, and probably will be next year if the Dolphins keep and continue using Frank Gore, which is probably a possibility that's going to happen. Um, Albert Wilson runs a 4.340, and so Kenyon Drake's around there too. And also another guy, Jakeem Grant. It's probably the fastest player on the Dolphins, and one of the fastest players in the league, running a 4.340 also. You guys have probably heard of him in this season. He has a couple of return touchdowns from a punt and kickoff. He's caught long touchdown passes by just running. So those are some fast guys that really can turn into playmaking. A short slant can make up to a house call. 70-yard touchdown. Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry are big. Known for that. So. And on the defensive side, you do have Minkah Fitzpatrick, the rookie of the Dolphins. He is versatile. He is very fast. He knows he can recognize certain plays. So having that fastness on the defense is very good. Definitely for the fact that it can do turnovers. It can stop a play, stop the run, get a pass defense, and also McQuillan and Jamone Barker, also young, very young guys. One's a rookie, Jamone Barker, and McQuillan's in the second year. Those guys are really fast. Definitely the linebacker position where linebackers you've got to be fast because you're really covering the middle of the field, and that's where most of the damage happens in most of the NFL games when you guys run slants or the tight ends or a cross route. So that's my number one is the fast players. Number two, we're going to go on the offensive line. A lot of people who probably doesn't follow the Miami Dolphins know that in recent years their offensive line has been kind of bad. They've given up the most sacks in the previous years, but this year is something special. They have a nice offensive line. You might not have seen it this year because they have dealt with 4 injuries on the offensive line. I believe 3 of them are in IR. So you can see that their offensive line has done great, but if you look at it, they do have 2 to 3 Pro Bowlers on the offensive line. So coming into next year, you're going to have Josh sitting back, full and recovered from his rotator cuff. Daniel Kilgore coming back from a tricep injury. You still have Looming Tinsel on your rookie deal. Jawan James, we don't know how it's going to pan out. He is on his 5th year of his contract for his rookie deal. Miami has not signed him to a new deal. He might be on the free agency, but there is possibility of them drafting either the first or second round in the in the NFL draft, or the free agency might provide a certain person. But this is a very talented offensive line when they are healthy, and you saw it in week 1. They were killing it on the run. Tannehill wasn't really pressured that much, and even was it week 5 or week 6 when they went against the Chicago Bears when they had 3 backups. They didn't give up any sacks against the Bears, so the backups are pretty solid too. But it's a week in, week out type thing. Some players are inconsistent, but those are the backups. But if your backups play decent, then you want to look at the starters and be like, wow, these starters are even better than the backups. So Miami Dolphins offensive line does have a bright future. They have already given the Miami Dolphins 1,200 rushing yards as of right now after 11 games. So they are averaging over 100 yards rushing. Like I said, that's with 3 to 4 backups every game. So imagine when the starters come in, definitely when Josh Stinton comes back, who is one of the most prolific run blockers in the league. That's what they brought him for. You have Kenyon Drake, you do have Frank Gore. So next year, if they come back and Frank Gore, if he does come back, if not, you still have Kenyon Drake. This is going to be a team that is going to probably be a top 5 running team. So that is definitely something to look forward to. Number 3, I am going to touch on Ryan Tannehill. A lot of people have heard of Ryan Tannehill. Definitely as for me, I do not think that he is going to be the franchise quarterback that everyone wants him to be, but he is the guy there and now and has the possibility to win games coming into at least next year. The quarterback draft is not the greatest, and neither is the free agency. So the Dolphins are going to be stuck with Tannehill next season, despite him having a losing record and then him suffering all these injuries these past 3 years. He is still the best player behind Tom Brady in the AFC East to compete within the division. Sam Darnold and Josh Allen does have bright futures, but they are not going to be taking those steps just yet. So Tannehill is the best option for quarterback behind Tom Brady. That's if Tom Brady plays next season. If he doesn't, Tannehill is the most experienced quarterback in that division. He completes 63% of his passes, which is actually pretty fine. It's pretty good. I mean, you always want those numbers to be up, but 63, between 2/3 of your passes every game. He is almost breaking 20,000 yards, 116 touchdowns, and 71 interceptions. So you can see he throws more touchdowns than interceptions, which is good for quarterbacks. A lot of the quarterbacks who don't make it throw more interceptions than touchdowns. So that is a bright spot for Tannehill. He's also very athletic when it comes to the run. He has almost 1,200 rushing yards of 6 touchdowns on top of that. You guys have seen him being athletic before. Definitely coming off his ACL surgery. He has over 100 yards rushing this season. But the only thing you guys need to remember that he has taken the most sacks in the NFL behind Russell Wilson at 225 since he's been drafted in 2012. When Russell Wilson was drafted in 2012 also. You can see that the Seahawks are now beefing up their offensive line, and so has the Dolphins. So they are trying to contain the sacks. If you give up the sacks, your team's not going to win. You're going to start throwing bad throws. You're going to start getting fumbles. So the improved offensive line will improve the quarterbacking play and definitely the run game. Number 4, we're going to talk about that defense. Miami's defense has been up and down all season. You can blame injuries for that. The Dolphins do have 12 players on IR this season, which is probably a franchise high. 1/5 of your team is IR and won't return for the rest of the season. That's just IR. You have other players that's been in and out of injury. You have Tannehill in the injury. Kenyon Drake's been in and out. Kenny Still's been in and out. Jakeem Grant's been in and out. Rashad Jones, Cameron Wake. They've all been in and out of injuries this whole season who weren't IR. So the Dolphins have been injury plagued this year, yet they still are 5-6, which is it's not terrible. You're living in the next man up philosophy. They did that in 2016 when they made the playoffs, when they had a couple guys down, including Ryan Tannehill. But that defense, they have 17 interceptions on the season, which is the NFL leading as of right now. They're first behind the Browns at 14. They also have 9 forced fumbles, which gives them 26 turnovers on the season, which is second in the NFL behind the Browns at 28. So their defense does have promise. In that secondary, you got Minka Fitzpatrick, Rashad Jones, T.J. McDonald, and Xavier Howard in that secondary, and then whatever other cornerback they do start on the opposite side of Xavier Howard. That is a very nice secondary. Their linebacking, is led by Kiko Alonso. A lot of you guys have heard Kiko Alonso. He's having a great time in Miami. He's having a great season. And you have two very young linebackers who is just improving and getting better in Jamone Barker and Raquan Millen. And the other part about it with the offense, Miami's only given up 9 interceptions this season. They do have a turnover ratio of a +6, so they're not giving away too many turnovers, and they're getting more opportunities than they have in recent years. All these guys on this defense who are making an impact, they're all coming back next season unless Gase does trade them away or cut them, which I don't see happening. Miami do have a lot of money in the cap space. They'll probably make a big free agent splash coming into next year, whether it's an offensive lineman or probably a linebacker or a cornerback. So you can see where this team's going to be leading up next year. They also have a very nice defensive line with Cameron Wake and Robert Quinn, who's combined they have over 150 sacks. Robert Quinn, since 2013, leads the league in strip sacks for the fumble. So their defensive line and their edge rushers are fantastic. They do need to beefing up the defensive tackle since Namaka Suh has left. But, you bring in a nice defensive tackle in the draft or the free agency. You stop the run, create more pressure. This is going to be a very nasty defense next year coming into the 2019-2020 season. With Matt Burke still leading them, although he has been considered a head coaching candidate, but next man up for defensive coordinator. If that happens, it's happened the last 2 years under Gase, so we'll see how that defense is, but that defense should be fantastic next year. And then number 5, we're going to talk about the young players. Miami has a lot of young players, whether they've been drafted, traded, or the free agency. A lot of them are McMillan, Jamone Baker, Micah Fitzpatrick, Kenny Stills, Jakeem Grant, Albert Wilson, Balaj, Carew, Gesicki, Parker, Smith, O'Leary, Vincent Taylor. There's a lot of young talent on that team. A lot of them are on rookie deals still. So Miami has a lot of young players and young talent. I believe about 15 of them are on our rookie deals. So you have about close to almost a third of your team on rookie deals. They have a lot of cap space. And then the draft next year, I think they're going to go all out on this draft to finally plug up the rest of the holes, what they did in the last 2 years. They've picked up Xavier Howard 2 years ago. They got Kenyon Drake. They got Baker and McQuillan. And then they got Micah Fitzpatrick, who's an overall-around versatile guy who could play safety, full safety, strong safety, outside corner, inside corner. So there's in a slot corner. So, trying to go out and find those versatile guys and then young, fast players is the best key for this team. This team is built on speed, and speed may not always work, but speed is what's going to work for now, and then what's going to go into the 2019 season. So those are my 5 things on why the Dolphins and what to look forward to for the Dolphins next year. Their record's really in a tight space going into next year. It all really depends on Tom Brady and the Belichick if they come back next year. If they do come back next year, I see Miami going 9 or 10 wins. If they don't, Miami does have the legit chance of winning the division, going to 11 or 12 wins if Brady and Belichick are done after this season. But those are my 5 things on what to look forward to for the Dolphins. If you haven't, please subscribe to the channel, like this, comment any concerns. If I said something bad or wrong, let me know. If I'm doing something good, let me know. Next video, I think we're going to be working on the 49ers. So all you 49er fans or NFC West fans who wants to know more what to look forward to the 49ers, check out that next video coming up in a couple of days. Hope you guys have a good day.